Nobody talks about it. When you go from poverty to making it to chronically ill, the research shows an interesting pattern. Multiple studies show that people from disadvantaged backgrounds who climb the economic ladder often appear mentally resilient, but their body shows damage. Now, why is this the case? Chronic stress, high effort coping, constant vigilance, and code switching, always having to outperform to stay equal. The body stores this stress in what is known as the allostatic load. This is known in literature as skin deep resilience. The effect is strongest in people with early life adversity, particularly the strongest among Black Americans, where social status doesn't bring additional protection or safety. So if you've made it, but now you're finding yourself ill or burnt out, this is not a sign of mental or emotional weakness. This could be the body's way of responding to years of physiological stress, aka allostatic load. And guess what? You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't make yourself sick. However, we lived in a system that favors success narratives and not recovery support. A system that doesn't understand that stress is a part of biology. One that doesn't want to listen to you because you're stressed, as if me being stressed means I don't deserve healthcare. We all have a right to exist no matter what our background, and we should all see healthcare as a human right.
While most people think that leadership is about getting people to follow your ideologies and getting people to just follow you or agree with you, or you telling or bossing people around on what you want them to do, a lot of people don't understand that leadership starts with leading yourself first. Being confident in yourself while building that confidence, but following your own sense of direction, not needing to have your opinion validated by external sources. And of course you can have your ideas bounced off of other people, and you can give your hey, what do you think of this, and what do you think? And actually that's great leadership. There is when you delegate ideas and get the room's point of view, but at the end of the day say, hey, this is what I believe, this is what I want to do, and if you don't agree with it, that's cool, you don't have to follow me. But if you do agree with it, then they'll naturally follow you. It's kind of like the same thought process behind content creation or even having a social media following. Is the people that are most drawn to you in this content creator space or just in life in general are going to be those that see that you can walk alone or walk within your own path authentically, and that you don't need the constant validation of others. And when they see that you don't need it, that makes people more drawn to you. It's like he or she knows what they're doing. And a lot of people may not know what they're doing in this life things. I mean, we all have those moments, right? But when people look to leaders, they're looking for someone to lead them when they're lost, right? In the general sense, you know what I mean? So when they see somebody that's confidently walking in their own path, whether they absolutely know what they're doing or maybe they're figuring out along the way, that's what's going to draw people to your leadership or to your content or to your brand or whatever, is that you're walking in not in a, how should I put this? Not in a desperate sense of needing people to follow you, but following yourself and leading yourself first. And then everybody else will follow. It starts with you, and that's on game. Peace and love, and take care for real.
Y'all not gonna like what I had to say, but I'm gonna say it. So you probably didn't notice, but up until 2021, the NFL operated under the assumption that Black players started with lower cognitive function. They then used that assumption to say things like dementia and brain-related injuries couldn't possibly have come from their playing days, because the NFL is on record essentially saying Black players are dumb. You think I'm making this shit up? I'll show it to you right now. Now, this was October 2021. It says the NFL agreed to end race-based adjustments and dementia testing that critics said made it difficult for Black retirees to qualify for awards, and the $1 billion settlement of concussion claims according to a proposed deal filed Wednesday in federal court. This is an article from NPR, and if you scroll down, it says the NFL used a binary scoring system for dementia, one for Black people and one for everyone else. They did this as a way to factor in a patient's socioeconomic background. And then here it is. Here's the smoking gun. It says the league had agreed in June amid uproar to halt the use of race norming, which assumes Black players start with a lower cognitive function. That makes it harder to show that they suffer from a mental deficit linked to their playing days. It's in black and white, no pun intended. And you see that line right there? It says the NFL would admit no wrongdoing under terms of the agreement. Now you're probably asking yourself, why am I bringing this up right now? This happened in 2021, right? Because now I got a little motion. I got some followers and shit now, so now people will pay attention when I talk about some shit that really matters to me. I love football. I guess I'm culpable too because I enjoy watching it, but when people say things like the NFL only cares about money, they don't care about the players' health, you should listen because there's real evidence for it. And I feel like the only time people start to care is after these guys retire and then you hear like a tragic story or some shit. And if you're looking for a solution from me, I don't got one.
You can talk about it. If there is an issue that is important to you, something you are passionate about, something you feel is not receiving the visibility and discussion in the court of public opinion and discourse that it is owed, you can be the one to change that. Now you may say, well, Justin, I don't have a big platform. No one has a big platform when they first begin. You grow a platform through earning business or viewership, whatever you want to call it, through consistent action. So just start reporting on things that are important to you, because I promise you, with as many people in this country and on this earth, if it's important to you, it's probably important to somebody else. And if you feel like it's not getting enough visibility, somebody else out there probably feels the same way. And guess what? That's your initial clientele. That's your initial market. So go get started. Report something.
I don't give a fuck how good you look, how much money you got, how smart you are. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit, for real. Are you a good person? Do you got good character? Do you got good energy? Do you got a splendid personality? Do you got any of that shit? Do you? If not, get the fuck away from me, dog. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit.
If it's okay with you, I'm going to rant right now, okay? I will never forget the lesson that I learned in my U.S. government class in 11th grade, Miss Martin's class. I will never forget this. She held up a $1 bill and she said, "What is this?" We said, $1. She said, "How much is this worth?" We said, $1. She said, "Why?" We said, "Well, because we have a system in place and each dollar is backed by gold." And she said, "No, it's not." She said, "This is worth $1 because we say it's worth $1 and we agree that it is worth $1. The moment we stop agreeing to that, it falls apart. It becomes worthless." I have never forgotten that lesson throughout my life. All of this is fake. It's not real. Everything's imaginary. Everything falls apart when you stop participating in it. Because nobody can play a game by themselves except solitaire, but that's boring. Nobody can play a game by themselves. Like, what is a billionaire? If money became worthless tomorrow, what is a billionaire? Nothing. They're nothing. No one in this world is more important than the next. Doesn't matter how much money, how much imaginary money you pretend to have, because we're all just pretending. This is pretend. It's not real. And it's our participation in it that creates our own hell. And that bothers me so much. And I really just want for us to stop pretending. We pretend like one class of people is more important than the next. That's not true. We pretend that one race of people is more important than the next. That's not true. We pretend.
Why do your coworkers get mad whenever you choose to just be quiet and work and not talk to anybody? Like, respectfully, bro, I'm just there to get my paycheck and get up out of there. I don't care about who was fired last week. I don't care about who's beefing with who. I don't care about who hooked up with who. I don't care about all that drama. Just let me work, get my paycheck, and get the fuck out of there. They be getting so upset whenever you just you're just quiet. I don't get that shit. When you stay to yourself, they have a problem with that shit. Why?
People recognize the light. They just struggle to honor it when it comes through someone familiar. And familiarity will betray you. This is a spiritual world that we are living in, whether we acknowledge it or not. And people don't just respond to what they see, they respond to what they sense. Sometimes the light you carry is so obvious, but because it's you that's carrying it, people will downplay it and treat it like it's ordinary. And look at scripture, even Jesus was dishonored in his own town. They couldn't separate the calling from the person that they thought they knew. The spirit in people often recognizes the truth before the mind is willing to admit it. That's why some people will resist you without explanation, because everything is spiritual. So don't dim what God placed in you because others don't know how to honor it. We have enough people doing that. You aren't here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be faithful to the things that you were entrusted with. Let your light speak for itself. Stop dimming your light.
When y'all go on and on about how you can't wait for the collapse of this country and how you can't wait for the revolution and the Civil War and all this other shit, and people be saying this on both sides of the political spectrum, it just shows how sheltered we are as a nation and how most of y'all don't study civil wars in other countries. Even though I know historically every great dynasty goes through it, I pray that I am not alive to see this country go through a civil war. Another one. When it comes to Americans, we talk from a very privileged place when it comes to wars because we have not had a boots on the ground war fought on our soil since the Civil War. And if we ever did have a civil war, it would probably mimic that of Yugoslavia, Libya, or Libya. You will have a left spectrum and a right spectrum. And on both sides of those spectrums, not only would they be fighting left versus right, but there would be so much infighting within groups on the same side of the political spectrum that you would have all these different mini militias. And also remember, if a civil war is to break out in a country, that means that there has been a complete collapse of that society. You're not calling the police. The most ruthless, the most deprived people will win. Neighborhoods will be turned into mass graves. The body parts of hundreds of dead women and children would be littered in the streets like yesterday's garbage. There would be food deserts. Hospitals would shut down. The children would have it the worst. Young boys would be forced by militias to fight. Some of them would be forced to kill their own parent. Go look up the civil wars in Sierra Leone and Liberia. Horrible, horrific acts of SA would be committed with no one there to stop it. Out in the open. Some militias might even force young boys to essay their own family members just to mentally break them and to corrupt their minds. Because if you could kill your own parents and you can essay your own mother, you will do anything. That is the reality of civil war. Imagine what we are reading in the Epstein files. It would be that times probably 40 on a daily basis. And usually after a revolution or some type of government overhaul or civil war, once the smoke is cleared, there's going to be some charismatic leader who rises up and uses their power and influence to snuff out all their political rivals and lead the country into more wars, just like Napoleon.
Let me put something into perspective for all of you. The American healthcare system right now is gone. The subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, they're gone. Rent is through the roof. The American people can barely put food on their plates. The American people can barely find a job right now. And we have a president who ran on affordability who's now calling it a hoax. Not only that, this same president is willing to give Greenland $706 billion of U.S. taxpayer money to acquire the island. Give all 57,000 citizens of Greenland $100,000 of our money. How does that help we, the American people? Not only that, I recommend none of you look at your stock market right now or your 401k or your pension because you might stroke out. Because right now, $1.6 trillion in U.S. stock gains have been wiped out. You want to know why? Because Donald Trump keeps talking about acquiring Greenland possibly by force. And as a result, the European Union is now saying they will dump U.S. Treasury bonds and dump U.S. currency, and it will send this country into a death spiral. When are the Republicans going to wake up and get this son of a gun out of office? He's not thinking straight. All of this over a goddamn Nobel Peace Prize? You have got to be kidding me.